Hello, Sophia here. Welcome back to my channel. I thought I would try something new. I have hundreds of card sketches, and I thought because a lot of people are saying they want to use up their 6x6 papers or even their scraps, this is great for scraps as well. I thought I would do Friday sketch cards every Friday, hopefully every Friday, and just to give you lots of inspiration. So what I'll do is I'll show you a card sketch or template, whatever you want to call it, and I'll show you how to cut it out. We'll put it together on the card, and then I'll show you some extra examples that I created just so you have a little bit more inspiration. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so our first card sketch is going to be Operation Right Home, and it's going to be 4¼ by 5½. That's what my card base is, and that's what we're going to cut the papers to fit as well. Now you only need 3 papers with this card. The, the one strip here, this piece at the background here, and then of course the 3x3 square that you'll use for your sentiment or embellishments, whatever you like. Okay, so let's just make it's quite simple. Um, I have a 6x6 paper here, and it's double-sided. Now, if you're going to make sketch cards, I really recommend double-sided. If you're using scraps, whatnot, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, I mean, whatever floats your boat. But if you do want to use your 6x6 papers, this is a great way to get rid of them. And the double-sided is perfect because then you know everything coordinates with each other. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I need to cut a 1-inch strip here and by 5½. And then that means because we have a 4¼ card, we're taking an inch off. We need to do this part here, 3¼ by 5½. Okay, so let me bring my trimmer in here and we'll get started. So I'm just going to cut an inch off for the blue. Okay, and then I need 3, then I'm going to cut this side here. I need 3¼ by 5, or 3¼ to start. 3¼ okay. And I'm going to turn and cut it at 5½. And I'm also going to take our 1-inch strip and cut that at 5½ as well. Okay, so now I do have some strips here, and you know me, they're going in my pile. You'll see more cards with them. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're just going to glue them on our card just like this. That's how it's going to look. Okay, let's get to that. I thought I would do these on Fridays in case people wanted to do them on, oh, glue sticky, unless I thought people might want to do them on Saturdays or on the weekend, you know, give them when you have a little bit more time maybe. Hopefully that works out for everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to put this down on the card. I always line up my edge first on the full side. Okay, in case your card's a little wonky and you have to trim some off. Okay. See, my card base is a little different. I'm just going to trim that off real quick. I think it's my fold that always gets me because I don't get my cards right. Like my bases when I make them, they just don't seem to get lined up properly for some reason. So, but this paper trimmer that I have here is a Fiskars, geez, I'm not sure what it's called. It's got a rotary blade in it though, like this rotary blade in here. It never needs sharpening, and I tell you, it cuts everything and so smoothly as well. Okay, hopefully you don't have to trim your card down like I just did. Now look at that. Isn't that pretty already? Like it just goes together, doesn't it? Love that matchy paper. Okay, so that's done. One more thing to do. We cut a 3-inch square and put our sentiment or our whatever we want to put on it. Okay, this is kind of like the book. Is it the bookmaker card? Bookbinding card? Like you turn it around. I think I saw a card like this before. But okay, now I have my happy birthday here. I can put it on, and that looks really cool like that, doesn't it? Or I can add a little tiny net around it and just make it pop a bit more. But I'm taking the orange out of the paper. Okay, so I'm just going to put that down. I think I'm going to have to fill up my glue bottle again. I've been having so much fun making cards and getting all inky, and I'm a little tardy getting my video up today because my little granddaughter called me, and I just drop everything when she calls me. She's only 4. She won't be 4 forever. And she also lives in the US while I live in Canada, so I take every chance I can get to FaceTime with her. Okay, so now I'm going to put this down on the card. My mat here, this is a 3x3 paper, and my mat is 3 by 1/8 of an inch. Now, if I like the 1/8 of an inch because it just gives me a tiny border, if you prefer, don't really like cutting 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, those kind of numbers, just go 1 1/4. Just go a 1/4 inch bigger instead of 1/8 of an inch bigger. Okay, so I'm just going to stick this down here like this. Okay, that's straight. All right, there is card number 1. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple of others that I did. Okay, so for these ones, I used 2 pieces or 2 6x6 papers that were in a 6x6 paper pad, so they were coordinated, but I just used some red here, more red here, some white here, more white here, which is it's fine. The same thing, but they look different. So on this first one here, I opted for a 3x3 paper like here, but I did it in a pale yellow. It might look a little darker on the screen, but it's fairly pale. But it's just little dots, just a really small pattern. I thought if I used a bigger pattern, it might get lost in the other patterns and just look really what do you call it? I don't want to say messy, but anyways. So all I did was I stamped a happy birthday on it, matted it on a 3 by 1/8 inch black cardstock, and then I fussy cut out a flower and put on top. Not much to it. On this one, I just reversed the papers at the top, and then I took my 3x3 paper, I stamped some flowers on it from Gina K, and I used barn door ink from Distress Oxides, and it matched this paper fairly well. I matted this on 3 1/8 inch black mat, and then I matted it again on a 3 1/4 inch mat. But what I did, it's the blue from the paper, and I just lowered it and moved it to the left so that I don't see any blue on this side or under here. I just see it on this side, so it just stands out a little bit more. So those are those 3. They all look the same. They're all made from the same sketch, but they all look different. Okay, number 2, another Operation Right Home sketch. And this one is sketch number 6. And what we're going to need here is we're going to put a mat around on our card base. And our card's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 again. We're going to have 4 rectangles on the card. And we're also going to have a 2-inch square. And you can use it for a sentiment or an embellishment, whatever you like. So now I'm going to cut out 4 of these rectangles, and they are going to be 1 3/4 inches by 2 3/8 inches. Okay, and this is the paper that I'm using, and this is from an old paper pack by My Mind's Eye, and these are all coordinating papers. They look really sweet, don't they? Yeah, they can all go together. So I think I was going to use these 2, and then I'm thinking maybe I'll use these 2 instead. I'm not sure, or I could go with the orange and the red. I think I'm going to use, I know you're saying pick one, pick one, pick one. I think I'm going to use the orange and the stripes. All right, so I've already cut these panels to 2 3/8 of an inch. Now I have to cut them in 1 3/4 strips. 1 3/4. Okay. 1 3/4. And I'm going to need 2 of these. So I'm going to do another one. I'm trying to keep this printer on my table, but because you can't see it in view, I might have to pull out my little one. So we're at 1 3/4. And I have a little scrap left over. Never will go to waste. And I'll do the same with this one, this orange one. I'm going to need 1 3/4. I'm going to need 2 of those as well. Okay. And 1 3/4. Okay, you see that move there? Oh, let me try that again just to make sure. 1 3/4. Here. Oh, it's a little shy. Okay, let's just do it again. Because otherwise, when I put them on the card, they are not going to line up properly. Okay, 1 3/4. All right. And again, I got a couple of little scraps I can use another time. All right. So now what we're going to do, make sure my card's going the right way. We are going to put these on our card base. And we're just going to line them up, kind of try to make them as even as you can. Like on your, so the blue is even all the way around. Just do the best you can. People don't really notice too much, I don't think. So, go. I love that orange. It's just so vibrant. I have 6x6 papers I need to use up. And I have, I used to be a scrapbooker big time. And I used to own a scrapbook store. So I have an awful lot of paper. So I'm going to start cutting up my 12x12 paper into 6x6. I might just use it more then. I might leave the just cut 2 pieces 6x6 and leave the other 6x12 intact. I have 2 grandbabies now, so I might, you never know, I might just do card or scrapbooking again. I need to live to be really, really old to do all the things I want to do. I am using Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, and that's the only liquid glue that I use because it works. It works great. All right. It is a little expensive. I buy it from Amazon. It does seem a little bit expensive like the first time you purchase it, but it does last a really long time. Like this bottle's probably, it's way over a year for sure. Year and a half maybe, and I filled it once. It came full. I filled it once. I'm still using the same stuff. So, all right, that looks pretty even. Okay, so there are your mat, your 4 rectangles, and now all we need is our little square in the middle. And I actually have a little thinking of you. Now that looks really sharp in there, doesn't it? That looks nice. Like that, but I wanted to pop it a little bit more, so of course I have to make a mat. And my mat this is 2-inch square, so it's 2 1/8. Again, if you prefer 2 1/4, that's fine too. But look how that is. Isn't that cool? I think this layout has been going around on the card channels for a while now, but I've never made one. So when I saw this sketch, I thought, oh, maybe other people haven't made one either. So let's give it a try. And we'll glue this down. They're so fast to make, especially if you do sketches. They're so fast to make, and you can make so many of them, like different. Just use different papers, different sentiments, different embellishments. It's just the same layout, but it's amazing what. Okay, is that straight? I think so. There you go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. So you can imagine if I had turned those papers around the other way and had the greens, the green, I think there was stars maybe, and the circles. That would have looked nice too. Okay, so let me bring in a couple more that I've made. Okay, So this one I use again from a 6x6 pad, and it was coordinating papers. I did it on a white mat, and you see it's not, I did a white mat smaller, so this card's actually 4 by 5 1/4. The mat is, sorry, the white mat. And then I did a black mat on the outside, and that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right. And then this one here, it looks kind of like romantic papers. You know, I thought that was kind of cool. Those are from a coordinating 6x6 paper pad as well. And I just drew some stitch lines around just to give it a little bit more, I don't know, dimension. Not really. Just added a little bit to it. So that's those 3 cards from one sketch. And look how they're all different, but they're all the same. So cool. Okay. And here is the last sketch. Now, this one here is by Operation Right Home Again, and it's number 5. And this is going to be so simple. Use your scraps definitely for this one. Right now we have a paper on the back, which I'm going to use the back here as my card. I'm not going to use a pattern paper to cover this. I'm just going to use my card. It's going to be white. And then it's going to be 3 little strips of paper. They're all going to be 2.5 inches tall. And you're going to have the middle one at 1 3/4 inches and each side one at 1 1/4 inch. Okay, so now I have my pieces cut here. So here's a 1 1/4 by 2.5, 1 1/4 by 2.5, and 1 1/4 by 2.5. Now, these are all from the coordinating paper pack, so you can use whichever you like. Okay, I'm going to use my stars and the green and the orange. Okay, so they're going to fit exactly across the card. Now, if your card's like me all the time, I don't know why my cards are never straight when I cut them, even though I try and I try and I try. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these down and show you how they do all go together. I know one's orange, one's blue, one's green, but hey, I love fun cards and break cards. Okay, so it's a little bit closer to the top than it is to the bottom, so I'm just going to move it up just a tad. Okay. This is great for scraps. You could even make a card, just use longer strips if you want to. But I get a lot of inspiration. I just take scraps out and I just throw them down on my desk and then put a white card base beside it and see what it looks like. Okay, so this looks like it's actually all good. It's perfect. Okay. Isn't that cute? I like that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put our stamp on the bottom. So I've already done the 3 papers on here, and I'm going to put a stamp on the bottom, and we're going to be done with this card. Now, if you wanted to, you could definitely put a a mat on your card base before you put your papers down. So I'm just going to put a little thanks down here. Okay. And that's from a Gina K set called Thanks, I think, or Thank You. That is done. Look how fast that was. Was it even a minute and a half, maybe? Okay, let's see the other ones. Okay, so I've made 2 other cards with the same pattern. Now this one here, I had this paper here. I have a little bit more, not much, but I wanted to use it because I wanted to use this funky flower again. I just used this in a video I think I did on Tuesday or a couple of days ago. And I did not have coordinating paper to go with this. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I grabbed a piece of paper and I have these Ohuhu markers, and they have a dot. I'll show you here. They have like a dot. They have like a fine tip end. They also have the dot at the end. So you could just touch them on your papers. I'll just show you here. You just touch it on your papers and you get these little dots. And I think I just added the wrong color on there. These are just pink and orange. I put purple on there. That's fine. I'm going to add more purple because then it'll look nice too. Okay, that's all I did. But when I put this on here, there was too much white space. So I just took my markers and I just added a whole lot more. And then it just kind of went together. Okay, so I colored my flower orange and pink. I was trying to find my groovy stamp. I couldn't. So I did a hello on the bottom. Just put some bling on here and done. Now this is exact same layout. What I did was I used pink, the pattern paper, and then blue. And instead of going, across like these ones are, I turned it on an angle. Then I took my Martha Stewart lace punch. I just punched out a little bit of lace in white cardstock and added it to this. And then I did my Let's Eat Cake on some white cardstock. And then I put it on a double fishtail banner. Added some sparkly gems to it and done. But when you look at the original, it doesn't look the same at all, does it? So don't be afraid when you're doing your patterns. Turn them. Put them whichever way you want to put them. Play with them. Do whatever. The sky is the limit, right? Anyways, I'm blabbling. So let's put all the cards out now and see what they all look like together. If I can fit them all in here. Okay, so that was 2, 4, 6, 8 cards. 9, more than that. 9 cards. I hope you enjoyed this video. I sure had fun making all of these. So until next time, happy card making. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.